Hello, friends. It's me, Georgina Wonder. I finished reading The Wrath of the Triple Goddess. It was fun to read. It was a fun read. And Percy this is a series that Rick Riordan is a new series that he's writing, and is called The Senior Year's Adventures. And this is book 2. Book 1 is The Chalice of the Gods, which is this one. I haven't read it because I just wanted to jump into this one and read this one. And so the premise, I'm not going to tell you a lot because I don't want to spoil it for you. You should read it. The premise is that Percy is in 12th grade and he's graduating to go to university. So he's applying for the demigods university, which is the University of Rome. And so he needs letters of recommendation, and the gods already have given one, which is in the Chalice of the Gods. Is featuring how he got that letter is featured here in the Chalice of the Gods. And then the second one is with Hekate. That's why it's called the Wrath of the Triple Goddess. Hekate is known as the Triple Goddess. She's the goddess of magic, of witchcraft, of sorcery, which is all the same thing. And she's necromancy. She's the goddess of the crossroads. And she has familiars, a polecat and a dog, a female dog, which is called Hecuba, and the polecat is called Gale. And so there's a history behind them that's why I want to talk about and inform you about, and because I think it's very interesting, and you guys should know this. If you're following Hekate, you should. Percy Jackson agreed to pet sit Hecuba and Gale. And so her mansion, Hecate's mansion, is in Gramercy Park, which is this park that is a private park, because it's sort of like a residence. It's a block, it's a particular block in Manhattan that is sort of like secluded, and it has a lot of brownstones around the park. And so I don't know how it works, but the residents of Gramercy Park, I think they have to pay a fee to have a key of the park, because the park is private for residents only. And it's beautiful. I've been through it. I've passed by, and her mansion is there. So they have to stay in her mansion for the whole week that she's gonna be away. And she's gonna be away because it's October. We're in October, the season of the witch. So forgive my finger, I cut it cooking. So she has to go to different festivals and different activities that are honoring her because of the season of the witch. So she, because Hekate is the goddess of witches, or the queen of witches, the mother of witches. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the history of, Hekate is always depicted with dogs. So I wanted to talk to you about the history of the polecat Gale, and how she became Hecate's familiar, and also Hecuba, how she became Hecate's also familiar, because she's always with dogs, and one of those dogs is Hecuba. So she becomes a hellhound, I believe, and well, in the book she's called a hellhound. And anyway, so I don't want to, the book is typical Percy Jackson books. It's an adventure. There's gods involved, there's demigods involved, there are nymphs involved, and it's just wonderful story, like the Percy Jackson stories. I know that the series is out now and stuff, and it's nice, it's okay. I liked it. I don't like it 100% because even though Rick Riordan is part of the people that are directing and writing the series, is kind of deviating from the books a little bit, and I was hoping that it was more like accurate to the books, but it's okay. I liked it. I anything that has to do with Greek mythology I love. And so anyway, so it's a typical Percy Jackson and the Olympians story, but this time it's Hekate, and Hekate is my goddess. Hekate is the goddess that I follow, and it's pretty awesome to see how Rick Riordan did his homework on Hekate, because it's you don't hear a lot about Hecate's familiar, especially the polecat, because she's always depicted in Homer and in the Chaldean oracles and in those poems, in those hymns. She's always depicted with dogs. They hardly ever mention Hecate with the polecat. So it was nice that he mentioned her in this book. And so I wanted to talk to you about that familiar in particular, because you hardly hear about it. So, and he explains it a little bit in the book as well. So Gale is also called Galinthian, right? She's also called Galinthian, but there's two different stories. There's two different versions of how she became Hecate's familiar. And so the first one is that she is a witch in this town, and they all know that this town knows that she's a witch, and she does divination for the town. She does spells for them, all kinds of things, and she knows a lot of the poison spells and stuff. So she knows pharmakia, and she was giving the gift. She was a Hecate devotee, because back in ancient times, if you had the power of magic, it was because Hecate blessed you with that gift. Because Hecate is the goddess of magic, is the goddess of witchcraft, pharmakia, necromancy, and she has dominion over water, earth, and water. And so she is very powerful. Hecate is very powerful, and she's a Titan goddess. So anyway, so Hecate was upset at Gale because she was misusing her power for her own gain, and also she had a bad reputation because she was very sexual, very promiscuous, and she was using her magic for her sexual pleasures. And so, and she also was, she let herself go to the point that she was, her vowel movements were like out of control. So she was kind of like a disgusting representation of Hecate, and so Hecate got mad at her, and she turned her in the equivalent of what she was becoming, which was a polecat. Back in ancient times, a polecat is like a weasel, like kind of like that, and a ferret, and so they used to be this type of animal that was only used for farmers to have as pets, because they will eat like the rats, the cockroaches, the mice, anything that has to do with destroying the crops. So the polecats were used for that, and so they were sort of like a lower rank animal, even though that they were useful. So also the way that they were sexually was very promiscuous as well. The polecat is very like, they don't stay with one partner, they go with different ones, and they all have babies everywhere. This is a behavior that the ancient Greeks used to see. So they, they were like, they were looked down on because of that behavior, the poor polecats. And also, they had this mechanism like the skunks, that whenever they were in trouble or fear of something, they would pass gas, and it was some sort of a mechanism to smell awful, so they wouldn't be attacked, or people would leave, or other animals bigger than them would not eat them. So it was kind of like what Gale kind of was. That's why she was turned into a polecat, because she had all those traits. And so Hecate was like, okay, you're gonna be my familiar polecat. And then the other version is that Galinthia was Alcmene's friend. Alcmenes is the mother of Heracles. Heracles is Hercules in the Roman version. So Heracles was going to be born, and Galinthia, she was assisting Alcmenes to have the baby, to have Heracles. But Hera find out that the son that Alcmene was going to have was Zeus, and Zeus is her husband, if you know the story. So Hera couldn't do anything about it, because if Zeus will find out that Hera did something to his son that was to be born, he will get mad, and Zeus is the king of the gods, so they have to respect him. And anyway, so she went. The version that I read is with the fairy, with the fates. So she went to the fates to ask the fates to stop the birth, right? So the way that the fates did stop the birth was that they would cross their arms, and they would stand there until probably Alcmenes will lose the baby, because she couldn't birth it. So it took many, many days for Alcmenes to have Heracles. And so Galinthia, since she was her friend and also the midwife that was attending her to give birth, she didn't know what was happening anyway. So she finds out that it was the fates. So she took it upon herself to summon them and tell them that Zeus sent her to summon them, because Zeus knows what they're doing to the birth, and so Zeus wants them to stop. So they were scared, because it's Zeus, and Zeus is the king of the gods. So, but it was a lie. Zeus never contacted Galinthia to do that. She just figured it out, it was something that she made up to help her friend Alcmenes. So then they release Alcmenes from their spell. The fates, they have that power, because they can control the fates of everyone, especially the humans. And so Hera finds out, because she's like, what happened? Why did she have Heracles? Because then Alcmenes was able to have Heracles. So then she's like, what happened? I told you. And then, well, Galinthia came and said that Zeus, and she's like, no, Zeus never said that. So the fates got mad at Galinthia, and so they turned her into the polecat, because she lied to them. And Hera was like upset too, so she was like, yes, do this for me, blah, blah, blah. So then Hecate, since also Hecate is sort of like a midwife. She's the goddess of childbirth as well. She has to do with that. There's another goddess that is also attached to the story that is the goddess of childbirth, and she is the daughter of Hera and Zeus, but I forgot her name. It starts with an E. But anyway, in this version of the story is Hecate, because Hecate also is, because of her status of being the guide, you know, she holds the keys to portals, to gateways, and the vagina is the gateway into men's life, into men's world. So she has to be part of births, and she also is the goddess of the marginalized and women who were not married and didn't have kids and families. They were looked at, you know, as marginalized people, because, you know, it was a success if you have had a husband and a family and you were taking care of your home. So that was a goal for lots of women in ancient Greece. So then Hecate is also the goddess of the marginalized. She is attracted to that type of people. Like, this is why I love Hecate. This is why Hecate is my goddess, because of this trait that she has. And she felt compelled to help Galinthia, and she made her one of her familiars to her. And so Hecuba stories is that she is the queen of Troy, and she is captured after Troy falls. She is captured and she becomes a slave to this king, this Greek king. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. I should have been more prepared, but anyway, so she's in the boat. There's different versions also, because there's one version that she is already in the realm of this king, in the kingdom of this king. But the one that I recently read is the one that she is in the boat on their way to the king's island. So Hecuba is held prisoner. So then she hears the king and his crew talking about what they did and who they killed and what they did to Troy, to the town, to Hecuba's kingdom. And so she was hearing this, and she was like, oh my God, what they did. And so she started crying, but at the same time she became enraged in this. And so she somehow summoned something, like, it doesn't say who turned her into this beast. So she all of a sudden charged the king. The king was talking to this group, and she was right there, and they were talking in front of her, and they were making fun of her, making fun of all of what they did, of her family and everything. So then she gets mad and she breaks off the chains, and then she jumped into the king, and then she gouged out his eyes, like with this claws that all of a sudden appear. So she gouged his eyes, and she kills some of the other soldiers that were there, a part of the crew of the boat. And then all of a sudden she turns into this dog, this figure. Like, she turns into this dog, and she has rabies because her mouth is like full of this foam, you know. And then all of a sudden Hecate knows that what she's been through and all that she has suffered. So she gets pity on Hecuba, and she made her her familiar. And she also follows Hecate everywhere she goes, her duties, where, you know, she's the goddess of the underworld in a way. When Persephone is not there, Hecate takes her place. So she also is a hellhound. Hecuba is a hellhound, so she's with Hecate in the underworld, you know, helping Hades. Well, Persephone is with Demeter and blah blah blah. So anyway, so that's the story. So if you didn't know, if you did not know about Hecuba and the polecat, Gale, then I just wanted to come out here and tell you the little bit of the story of the myth of the Greek myth of those two wonderful familiars of Hecate. There were women that were, you know, marginalized women who were cast out by, you know, society. And Hecate, Hecate, you know, takes pity on them, and not really pity, you know, she knows their pain, you know, like she embraced them as this strong women, these women who have justice in the world, you know, they seek justice in the world, and they want to help others. And so Hecate relates to that, and this is why she comes to us. This is how she chooses you, because she sees that you are a person that has been marginalized and cast out and rejected, but you still fight for your rights, fights for the ones that you love. And so she sees these things, and she wants you to be part of her pantheon. She wants you to be part of her legacy, which is, you know, the goddess of witches. And this is why she's my goddess, and I follow her, and because she's just a wonderful deity, a powerful deity. And as soon as I heard the story of this book, I wanted to read it immediately. And I skipped the other one, this one. I skipped this one to read this one. I will eventually read this one. But I wanted to read this one immediately, and it's so much fun. I love reading this. I love everything that has to do with Hecate. Hecate in this story, she's a little devious goddess, but all gods are that way. And in typical Percy Jackson stories, the gods are like, you know, they're good and bad. And so she is completely depicted that way, and I love it. I love also that she comes to Percy in this form, like, because in ancient times they used to depict her also in the hymns. I think in the Chaldean oracles, Homer, I'm not sure whose hymn is it, that she is also depicted three-headed goddess with beast, you know, like the horse, the lion, and the dog. I don't know. I think it's in some hymns she's depicted as the pig face, the snake, and because she's also depicted in hymns as a gorgon. Hecate is also depicted as a gorgon, with a snake tail and snake hair. She is, you know, a snake goddess also, and the snake is a symbol of rebirth, you know, also, and transformation, because they shed the skin, so it's transformation. And yeah, so thanks for watching. I hope you have a happy Halloween, a wonderful Halloween. Tonight is Wednesday 7th or 8th, the 8th, I think it is. And so tonight is Agatha all along, and I can't wait to watch it. So thank you for watching, and blessed be. Hail Hekate. Have a good evening. Blessed be. Bye.